Like, oh, it's only the top half.
Oh yeah, it's too hot. I thought about it actually because I crossed my legs a lot, and I'm like, it's gonna get picked up on camera.
Whatever. Like I said, it's an uber casual fucking.
Cryptid. Now I just want to. Well, I feel like Brad's gonna come up snazzy. He's gonna wear a collared shirt.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with he's gonna have a Jaws t-shirt on.
Interesting.
I'm gonna go with Jaws t-shirt.
All right, if he gets
my Mothman t-shirt, but it's too like.
If he comes on with Jaws, then I'm gonna put on Elvis.
Okay.
No, it came down to this or my Elvis t-shirt, and I thought Elvis is kind of a cryptid.
It is. So he wouldn't be a cryptid. He would be. Hold on, we'll get the thing right here because I have my laptop set up for this. And I'm gonna say words wrong, so pardon my French. He is a Lazarus taxon, I believe, which is something he would fall along the lines of a thylacine, who they were alive. You knew they were alive. They went extinct. You haven't seen them for over 100 years, but people still spot them. That's Elvis. That's
okay.
That's a really good comparison for like the difference between a cryptid that hasn't been seen, like, or sampled, like a real one that hasn't been sampled, like a Bigfoot or a Mothman, and a thylacine, which is still considered a cryptid, but it's a different category because it actually did exist.
Okay. And like, sometimes they pop up in nature and you're like, holy shit, I thought they were gone.
Pop up in nature, but technically for an animal to be considered non-extinct, extant, I believe it is.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
I believe that's correct. You would have to actually have like a sample of it. You can't just be like, yeah, I saw that. You could take a picture this close to it and you still would need physical evidence for it to be considered. Like, so you would need to have like a piece of Elvis's shit or like his hair or a DNA sample to consider him extant.
Do they call it Lazarus? Is it like a returning from the dead type thing?
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Hey guys.
Oh, no Jaws shirt. I was wrong.
No.
What?
We were trying to figure out what you were going to have on. Jay didn't get the Casual Friday memo, and I was like, Brad will show up in a Jaws t-shirt.
I thought this was business drunk.
Wow, I wouldn't show. This is a real thing. I'm not going to show up in a Jaws t-shirt.
Why? I showed up in a Rasputin one. This is Casual Friday.
It's not Friday.
It's always Friday at Jay's house. Honestly, if we knew what Bigfoot's dick smelled like, I feel like we would have more proof of that Bigfoot is real.
And it would no longer be a cryptid. It would be a Lazarus.
No, that doesn't make sense either, but that's okay. So tonight we have Jay co-hosting, who would be the man in black who did not get the Casual Wednesday memo. And Brad Rego is joining us, director and writer of such movies.
We're not doing like a real intro here. Like this is just so.
This is it.
This is
Here
it.
you go.
This is like all right. All right.
Yeah. Do you want me to list your movies, or do you want to interrupt me again?
I'm just curious if this was the actual start.
No, this is it.
Okay, we're into this. All right.
We're starting. This is it.
All right.
As in, hunting a cryptid, you can't just sit around and plan things out. You just have to just jump into the woods and start shooting at whatever looks at you, I guess. I'm going to list your movies.
Go for it.
Killing of Jacob Marr, Cabin 11, Rusty, and you're here tonight to talk about your newest film, Cryptid.
Yeah, how apropos, right?
The Cryptid or a Cryptid? Cryptid?
Just Cryptid. There's no article in front of it. It's just Cryptid.
Yeah. Beautiful font too.
Which one? I managed to squeeze both of them in there.
We can put them both right here afterwards if you'd like.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
We'll add those in.
I like that one.
I liked this one.
Whatever that one is.
So
That'll
Jay
be a
and I
surprise.
both have some questions about the movie. Jay has seen it, and I let my link expire, unfortunately.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a real
So-
shame.
Very nice. Nice preparation you've done.
Yeah.
So you're coming into this cold. Although you
Cold?
did watch the Q&A,
That's what I'm
which then
saying.
spoils the entire movie.
So
Yeah.
I pretty much
So-
saw the movie, so I'm set.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. I think it's gonna be a good cop, bad cop thing where Jay's gonna have some nice questions and I'm gonna have some actual cryptid questions regarding the movie.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us about the movie first?
Mm.
Sure. So the movie is called Cryptid. It is about a journalist in a small town of Maine who stumbles across a series of animal attacks, and him, along with his photographer partner, launch an investigation to try and find out what they think the real cause of these animal attacks are. So they think it's something more than what the authorities say it is. So then they kind of go off on their own and try and figure it out.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. It is something more.
Yeah, that would be a real bummer if it wasn't.
I
Like,
mean, yeah.
like it was just like they get to the end of it and they're like, you guys were right all along. It's just
a
it's
bear.
just a bear. Yeah. You guys had it. You guys had it pegged right from the start. I was wrong.
You know what looked fantastic though was the cinematography in Cryptid. It was, if you'd seen it, Jess, I mean, I've seen it twice. I've seen two versions. It's a beautiful movie, beautiful, well done. And I can't, hats off to you, Brad, longtime friend, and very proud of you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we shot it in we shot it in Massachusetts. We shot it in the Berkshires. So we shot it mostly in like Williamstown, in North Adams, in Great Barrington, sort of like that area of Massachusetts. And like we shot it in fall. We shot it in October, which is, I mean, it's the most beautiful time of any New England sort of foliage. And so we sort of lucked out. We were originally supposed to shoot it in April, which would have been a totally different look, but viruses came about, and so we ended up pushing it to October. So thank you. I'm glad you like the cinematography. But we did luck out in the fact that it looked gorgeous. Like really, you could point the camera almost anywhere, and it looked beautiful just because it just looked really nice because the foliage, and it's New England in the fall, which is fantastic.
So is that why you had to, did you change it in the movie too? So that October, November, the fall was when it rained more in this area?
That was a little bit of a weird happy accident. So yeah, in the original script, it was supposed to be set in the spring. And so we were going to shoot it in, April, which is when what the script was set at. But then when it got moved to fall, it got to a point where we're like, well, there's no way we can be in the fall in October in New England and have it look like April. Like it just doesn't look like that at all. So I changed it in the script to be October, November. And I changed it in the script to be basically when we were filming. So it was like end of October, beginning of November.
Okay.
But there is some talk about like rainfall and stuff in the movie, but those statistics I mentioned in there, that's actually accurate. Like that was something I found out afterwards, after I changed it into November. And then I did some digging and I was like, oh, there actually is like there is like a fairly decent rainy season in the fall in Maine anyway. And then that part of Maine. So
that worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. It was like a weird happy accident. It was like a Bob Ross extravaganza.
Now you didn't have your creature. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I won't mention what it is. If you could try and like explain without saying what it is. You didn't pick a specific type of cryptid for this, but did you get any ideas from other cryptids for this? Like, where did you come up with the design?
Yeah, so you're right. So this is not based on, I feel like, much to the disappointment of a lot of people following my cryptid Facebook page.
I'd like to make that clear that it's not like a specific.
Yeah, like I've gotten a lot of people when I was sort of going through the process of making this movie, a lot of people were trying to guess as to which cryptid this was. Like, Is it I can't even remember any of the ones they mentioned. Is it like the war pigs from whatever? Is it like the dogs of Scotland? Like there's like all these different, there was people who like came up with all these ideas of like, oh, is it this cryptid? Is it that cryptid? This is completely a unique cryptid. I just made it up. And really it just came down to, I worked with a friend of mine, actually someone that you know, Arthur Nyman, who's a great artist. And he and I have been friends forever. And so like I went to him and started discussing sort of some of the things that I thought I'd like the creature to be based on, which was sort of like real world creatures. And then kind of talking with him, he drew up a series of sketches and designs to be like, okay, well, how about this? How about this? And then we sort of like worked through the process to narrow it down to something where I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I really like. So, so I can say that the creature is sort of a tunneler. He digs underground, and I can say
Just opened up a whole can of worms with that.
Yeah,
that's it. People are gonna be like, I know what it is.
Yeah, so it tunnels, but you know it's set in Maine, but it has no real connection to Maine whatsoever. So it's not like a weird tunneling moose creature, or which would be kind of hilarious. Yeah. And so it's just a unique creature that it is sort of based on real animals, but obviously, you know, exaggerated to a crazy amount.
Oh, you'd be surprised with some of the cryptids out there. It's not that exaggerated. Like you could have gone way more exaggerated with it.
So what's like a very famous, is there a famous cryptid, say in New England or maybe Maine specifically? Is there like, if I were to come to you and I was like, I need a cryptid from Maine, what would you
specifically, or New England?
Well, let's if Maine is too specific, and if New England's easier, then go with New England.
So I think Howie the wood weasel, one of the ancients, they called him. They'd burrow those things. No, nobody remembers those.
Howie the wood weasel.
Yeah, Howie, like he's like our version of, you know, the Loch Ness Nessie.
So Howie. No, we have the Dover demon. That's a very specific thing. I don't know about Howie. I'll find him.
Look him up. You'll find him. He's out there somewhere.
Howie the wood weasel?
Yeah.
Who told you about that, Jay?
It was like a dream I had once or something. I
feel like
yeah. I'm just curious. I wonder who told you about Howie the wood weasel.
There's just, since Maine is
guy behind the shed.
Yeah.
The library police, is that who told you?
Yeah.
So since Maine is so wooded, Bigfoot is always a popular Maine cryptid.
Non-burrower though.
Non-burrower. There's
it's tough to say.
Sasquatch, Bigfoot, mountain lions are considered a cryptid because they're not supposed to be there. So Maine also has a lot of big cat sightings. Maine does not have your cryptid, though, from the
Howie the wood weasel.
But no, Maine doesn't have the cryptid, but it's a cryptid, so it could. They maybe just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's the beauty of the cryptid, is the fact that it is not proven. So you can sort of come up with your own design, and then that sort of is okay on its own, you know.
And what made you but what made you want to do a cryptid movie? This type of movie, I guess.
Yeah, well, I love
horror.
Right. Well, I love horror movies. I mean, I love monster movies. Like I just, in general, you know, one of my favorite movies of all time is Jaws. And so, you know, to me, Jaws is like a perfect movie in the way that it creates this incredibly terrifying monster. Obviously, in this case, it's a shark. So it's not, it's like, it's real, but certainly unique in its own way. But it also sort of has this other thing going on where it has this character drama between all these different people that elevates the movie itself from just sort of a garden variety, here's a monster killing a bunch of people, to something that is much deeper and much more terrifying just in general. because you care about the characters and you care about what's happening and you're interested in the story as opposed to just, oh, when's the next time the creature going to show up and murder somebody? Instead, you're sort of along for the ride throughout the whole process. And so those types of things, when you're getting into like Jaws and Alien or The Thing, or like those kind of creature movies, Predator is another one you're talking about, Kevin Peter Hall. Those types of movies and movies. What's that?
I like how you threw the middle name in too.
Hey, you got to. That's, I mean, I it was weird because when you said Kevin Hall, I almost didn't recognize the name because I'm always so used to hearing Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah.
So, so it's just a matter of, I love monster movies and I love that time period where it was like, there was all those great monster movies. And, I just always wanted to make one. I just always really wanted to make one because I just love them so much. Like, I just think a good one is so effective, and there's a lot of bad ones. But
you're ready to bring back the classics, the good ones.
Yeah, well, I think, and I think there's a whole other story that is going on, a beautiful story that's going on, like the friendship between, Max and Harriet, and the relationship between Charlie and Max. Like, there's a lot going on there, like that's so beyond, like kind of like how Jaws was in a way, where you got characters that like they're drinking on the boat, playing cards together and stuff. It's that you're learning about them, and you accomplish that so well with, I think, Max, Charlie, and Harriet the best.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea, right? Like, I mean, the movie itself is a monster movie in the sense that there is a monster out there and he's killing people. But I like to think of it as a bit more of a character movie. Like, it is the monster is sort of the catalyst that gets the story going, but the story really is about these characters. It's really about Max and the fact that he can't seem to commit to doing anything. And he's sort of on the cusp of society and he doesn't really know where he fits in. And so because of that, he always sort of plays everything with one foot out the door. And this thing kind of drops into his lap. And now he wants to chase this thing. This is his new thing. And by chasing this, it sort of forces him into sort of making some decisions and about his life, about the people around him. So it is a lot of a character thing about following the journey of Max and his friend and partner Harriet and their dynamic, as well as the sheriff, who you mentioned, Charlie, who's the sheriff of the town. And so like, just that interaction of those characters, that I wanted to get across that these are real people. These aren't just, here's a bunch of cannon fodder that'll just get killed and chewed up because of a creature. Instead, these are real people with real lives, with real motivation, trying to do things. At least that's what I hope, right? That's the goal, is to do something like that. I'm hoping that when people see it, that they do feel like that they do feel like these people are real. And that it's not just, stereotypical characters that are just stamped onto it just so that, they can be killed by a weird monster.
Yeah. Yeah. Those little touches, like, Max's phone being shut off, like, those are such personal, tiny little things where you're just like, oh yeah, I've been there before.
Totally, man. I mean, dude, I remember times, I feel like we've all kind of had those rough moments, but I have definitely had times of like being woken up with the electricity being shut off in the apartment, where like, you're just like, you're asleep, and then all of a sudden everything just gets real quiet. Like the fan shuts off, like the computer shuts down, and you wake up and you're like, everything seems so quiet right now.
It's very peaceful in here today.
Just as you hear the door to the TMLP truck close and drive away, and then you're just like, oh no, electricity's off. This is bad. So it's like you try to add these little real world sort of things in there to hopefully make the character real and to sort of ground the character in a reality.
Mission accomplished, sir.
Thank you.
Do you have a specific cryptid that you think as a, like, yep, that exists, that's out there, they just haven't found it yet?
Oh man, I don't know. I find it hard to believe. I'll tell you the ones I find hard to believe.
That was going to be my next one. Which one you're like, no way?
Yeah, so like stuff like the Jersey Devil. I find that very hard to believe.
Why?
Because it's Jersey, first of all.
Jersey's
And like anything called the devil, I immediately like, it's just like full on raised eyebrows. Like anything called demon or devil, I just immediately think, okay, there's some creative license here. So like, so I don't buy it, because I feel like it would have to be, if it's something that's real, then it would have to live within the bounds of reality, in which case it has to eat, it has to procreate, it has to continue its own species on. And so if you start talking about like this singular thing, like the Jersey Devil, I just don't buy it, Like I think, all right, Bigfoot, I guess, is probably the one that I would imagine is most probable to be valid, only because there are areas that are, very cut off from everything. And it's not just a Bigfoot. It's like, it's a species of Bigfoot.
Big feet, if
Big
you will.
feet.
It's big feet. Yeah. And
I
so I
believe the
feel like
plural is still Bigfoot, which is weird.
Bigfoots.
it's Bigfoots. Is it Bigfoots
Bigfoot.
or just Bigfoot?
Just
Feet.
Bigfoot.
Foots and feet.
Oh, so it's like deer. It's like
Hold on.
there is one deer and many deer. There's one foot and many Bigfoot.
I've set my laptop over here for checking out things. Let's see. What do you call a group of Bigfoot?
Is it a gaggle? A nesting?
Better if it was a murder.
A nesting of Bigfoot?
So it's a clan or a tribe?
Oh, all right. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I would assume it's been so long since it's been in the woods and it's been learning. I would assume it would pick up human traits.
Yeah, I mean, you see that video where it's walking. He's walking upright.
Patterson video.
Yeah.
That's a coin toss.
Yeah.
That's a coin toss is the nicest I'll say about that. It's been picked apart a lot, but
yeah. No good, no bueno.
that's a whole different show.
All right.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. It's your show, your format, but I'm gonna throw this out.
It's Casual Wednesday. We've already discussed
Casual Wednesday.
Casual
I'm
Wednesday.
gonna throw out a lightning round scenario. I want you to just give me a list of cryptids. You can just tell me what the name of it is, and I'll tell you whether I think it's real or fake.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, that's nice. I like this.
Here we go. I'm actually gonna pull up a list so I can give you some good ones.
What if like cryptids are like these creatures that like, okay, so in the case of Cryptid, the movie, the creature burrows and disappears. So like it's easy for it to get away with being not found. What if each species of cryptid have the same, pew?
So that's also a theory that Bigfoot, random cryptids, I always go back to Bigfoot because that's like the most popular. They are of another planar species.
Yeah.
That's why you cannot get a piece of them, or they're there 1 minute and you go for a camera and they're not. I don't buy into that theory, but the theory is that they are on a different plane of existence and they get to pop in and out as they want.
I like that theory.
I don't like that theory because that makes it too paranormal for me.
Yeah, that seems a little tinfoil hatty.
Oh.
Which is, I put my tinfoil hat away for tonight, but it's still there. But I just don't believe in that because that would mean, like cryptids, there are a lot of animals that were cryptids that exist. Hell, they thought dinosaur bones were dragons, so we've come as far as that anyways. So for your list of...
Oh, lightning round.
Go for it. Lightning round. Do it.
Aquatic, terrestrial, or winged?
Dealer's choice.
Terrestrial it is.
All right.
And you're going to guess... What?
I want you to give me the name and give me a brief, like a 1-sentence description of it.
And you're going to say if you believe it or
and
not?
I'm going to tell you whether it is actually real or not.
They're all real.
I'm gonna tell you whether I believe they're actually
There
real
you
or
go.
not.
They're all real until proven otherwise. Let's see here. Okay, so we'll go with just Bigfoot. I'm not a large and hairy ape-like creature
Yeah, I
found
think
in
it's
the
real.
United States and Canada.
Yeah, I think that is real. I think someone will find something that will end up being the Bigfoot.
And on that note, this is actually a question I wanted to ask you guys. Would you prefer, say somebody does find a Bigfoot, would you prefer to have them found it because they shot a Bigfoot and brought a specimen in? Is that how you would like this to be found?
No.
That's technically, and I had mentioned this to Jay earlier before you showed up.
Mhm.
You could have a picture of a Bigfoot a foot away, and he could have today's newspaper, ripping a butt with a Dunkin' Donuts latte. It's not
Right.
proof that he exists. You would need some sort of DNA sample. You would need a body. You would
Yeah,
need
I feel like
something.
I mean, every single solitary discovery we've had on the animal kingdom is because someone killed it and then they just dissected it. Like,
If that's
there
the
is
only way
nothing.
for this to be proven, you would be okay with that?
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think
Shoot
part
it.
of it is, well, because here's the thing, like I said, I think what makes it, to me, what makes something real is it has to be a species, not just one thing.
Yeah.
And so, in which case, there are natural predators of every species for the most part. And so I think it would just, you kill one of them. If it's like the last one on Earth,
That's a bummer.
then that would be a bummer. If someone
Be a
just killed the
bummer.
last Bigfoot, that would be a
Oh
bummer.
my goodness. That would be the
Yeah.
I mean, you did in fact prove it existed, but you're also the person that shot the last Bigfoot.
Right.
This is the person that shot the last Tasmanian tiger. Like you're that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, you
Which
are
is
Like
loved
white
and
rhino.
hated.
All right, let's see. Chupacabra.
No, that's not real.
I think it
You
is.
don't- Not even in the sense that it's an unidentified type of other creature.
I've seen
Maybe
pictures.
like
No, I think as a goat devil,
no,
whatever
it's not
it
a goat
is.
devil. It's a goat sucker.
Goat sucker.
goat sucker, right?
It kills goats.
It kills goats, right? No, I don't believe the chupacabra is real.
Okay. The Michigan dog man, which is which is weird
Okay.
because you would assume,
That's a singular dog man.
well,
Can't reproduce.
it
Already out.
can. It's a 7-foot tall, blue-eyed or amber-eyed. We're gonna go with amber-eyed because the blue-eyed just pushes it into the realm of non.
Yeah, like who knows? Like I want to know the person who identified that creature's
that
eye
got
color.
that close.
Blue-eyed
Yeah.
eagle.
It's a bipedal canine-like animal with the torso of a man.
Mhm.
It's
It's a
along the
werewolf.
lines. No, it's a dog man. It's different because a dog man is always a dog man, and a werewolf changes.
Okay.
All right.
Dog
Are-
men in the Michigan forests.
So werewolves are cryptids?
Well, that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying. The
suspect
Michigan
that.
dog man is not a werewolf because a werewolf is a myth, and the Michigan dog man exists. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
I vote no on the Michigan dog man.
All right, the Mongolian death worm.
All right. I'm all ears on this. Give me a
Okay.
description.
Yes. So the Mongolian death worm is exactly what it sounds like. It is alleged to exist in the Gobi Desert.
Mm-hmm.
It has never been seen.
Hmm.
It's basically. Remember the movie Tremors?
Sure.
It's Tremors.
Great movie.
Tremors.
Is it that big?
Yes.
Hmm.
In 1922, it was actually described as shaped like a sausage.
Ooh. I like
Well, that's not that big.
No, the shape of it, not the size of it. No head nor leg, but it's poisonous that merely touching it means instant death.
Ooh. No saving throw.
No saving throw.
Ooh.
So do you believe there's a large tremi, living in the Gobi Desert that is poisonous to the touch, that burrows
Mm-hmm.
underground?
Basically, we're talking about like dune sandworms here. Is what we're talking about.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say yes, I think that's possible. because it's the desert. Who knows what's going on in that desert? Anything can happen in that desert.
What? No dog man, but you'll believe in a big worm?
Well, because I find it hard to believe a dog man's like working in a factory in Michigan. Like,
he's not. He's always a dog man. He doesn't go back and forth.
no, I understand. I mean, like he's like a dog, like because he's like a dog man in like Detroit, like working at like a Ford factory, like putting together cars. Like I just find it hard to believe that there's a 7-foot blue-eyed dog man in Michigan.
This is a popular one. It's a big one.
Mhm.
Mothman. Do you think Mothman exists? Not.
Give me a one-line description.
It's Mothman. It's a harbinger of doom that shows up before cataclysmic events. So it's
Where's it located? Pennsylvania?
West Virginia.
No, not too far.
Okay. No, I do not believe Mothman exists.
So that falls under your Jersey Devil.
Falls under my Jersey Devil of it. It's too coincidental in the sense that they ascribe it to a thing that has to occur for it to appear. When I think of these things as animals, and they either are going to be there or they're not going to be there, them sort of bringing about some sort of reason to be there, it seems like that we're adding our own sort of spin on it. We're saying like, oh,
You're
this
putting
thing is there.
humanity onto it.
Yeah,
Jay, I believe I waited for you to come back in because I was going to ask you your favorite, besides Brad's movie, your favorite cryptid movie.
Oh, that's got to be Harry and the Hendersons, because I don't think I've seen another one. I can't think of another one that I've watched. Like, and I looked up, like when I knew we were going to talk about this, I looked at a bunch of lists of cryptid movies, and I'm like, I think I saw maybe, well, The Howling.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. That brings up a point too, because The Howling and American Werewolf in London are considered cryptid movies, but you do not consider werewolves cryptids.
But a lot of movies, they consider Splash a cryptid movie because it's a mermaid.
Oh, yeah. Are
I don't
mermaids?
consider that.
Do you consider Jaws a cryptid movie?
No.
Okay.
It's a
Great white shark.
great white. That's like Meg. A lot of people consider Meg a cryptid movie. Meg's existed. I don't
True.
consider it a cryptid movie. Which is funny though, because in your sense, I never really thought of Harry and the Hendersons as a cryptid movie. It's
the
crazy to think that it is.
Is it because you think that is it because Bigfoot is real, or why don't you think it's a cryptid movie?
Because it's a, and I hate to use the term goofy, because it's a goofy movie.
Right.
It's a kid's movie, but it's a fun take on it. I guess I consider cryptid movies like the Mothman Prophecies.
Or, well, what's your favorite cryptid movie?
You know, it's weird. I went through a list and I looked a lot of them up, and I keep coming back. The Brotherhood of the Wolf. Beast of
Wasn't
Gavidan.
that a lion though?
If you believe it was a lion, it was a lion. It was never proven either way. That's, I think, my hands down favorite like cryptid. So I've done some actual like look into that.
So it's funny. I rewatched. I think I told you this that I was going to, but I did rewatch that movie, The Relic. And it is much better the second time I watched it. Like I remember, and I think it's because of the fact that when I remember I watched a thing on this movie recently where the movie was intentionally created very dark, like lighting wise. Like the guy who did it, Peter Hyams, I believe his name is, Hyams. He intentionally made it very, very dark because he wanted it to be very creepy and a lot of like darkness and just very grim. And so that was great when it was in the theater. But at the time when they did the transfer, they transferred to VHS, and VHS was awful when it came to being able to make things out. And so when it transferred to VHS, you couldn't see anything. It was like totally dark. And I think that is when I ended up seeing it, was when it was like on VHS. And so I remember when I watched it, I was like, I don't know, it's all right. But I didn't really think much of it because you couldn't really see anything. And then recently I watched like a better version of it. where it was like high def and you could see so much more. And it actually is really good. The CGI at the end is a train wreck, but it was good up until that point. Like up until it got to the CGI part, it was really good.
I might need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Maybe since I saw it in the movie theater.
Did you see that in the movie theater?
I sure as hell did. That was one of my favorite books of all time.
Wow, you're
was
old.
Probably, yeah, I'm very old. We'll put my age right here. No, we won't. No, I saw that in the movie theater. The book was so amazing that I think Dan and I both read that book. We went to the movies to see it, I believe, on opening day, and it was very disappointing from the book's perspective. So I haven't watched it since. I might take a peek around in it now that you said it's a little better to watch.
Who wrote that?
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
Lincoln Child and Douglas Preston.
Okay. Yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
And you didn't read the book, correct?
No.
Okay, so to you, that would be, not to you, this sounds like it's a cryptid movie, but you would consider that a cryptid movie, or falls under like the scope of it because of the creature?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I mean, it's because it's a creature that's a tough one, and I don't know where you sort of fall in this, because it's not necessarily, at least the way it describes it in the movie, it is a sort of a what's the word I'm looking for?
It's a made creature. I mean,
it's a creature that sort of
produced,
develops from another creature, right? Like very famously, there's a scene in it where they analyze it, and it's like it's got DNA from everywhere. It's like all these different kinds of DNA kind of came together and made this creature. So it sort of takes an existing creature, like a base creature, and then it jacks it up to like the power of 10. And it sort of corrupts it and morphs it into something else. So I don't know if it would necessarily be a cryptid. I mean, I know that movie is considered to be a cryptid movie, but
to me, it falls under a myth and legends movie.
Yeah, I guess it could be. I mean, they do talk about it is a tribe that talks about this particular creature. So, I mean, I guess there is some looseness in there where it's like, all right, well, they know that this creature at some point may have existed, but it hasn't been, science has not seen it. And then, because they talk about these tribes would end up warring with each other, and they would end up starting to they ended up dying off because they would not have food. So they would take this herb or whatever it was. They would kind of morph into these things. They would end up killing each other, and then they would just sort of die off because they would not have any more food. And that would be the end of it. And so I don't know. I mean, it's like, is the Incredible Hulk a cryptid? Because Banner gets radioactive and then turns into the Hulk?
No. I just don't think that if you're medically changed into something, that would make you a cryptid. Cryptids are a flesh and blood born of, or hatched out of, or however cryptids are born, animal.
Yeah, like I feel like it's got to be on its own.
It does.
Without interference of man.
We'll read the actual without interference of man. We'll read the actual,
what's the actual definition of it?
Right here. Cryptids are simply the baseline of it. It's an unknown animal.
Right.
That's it. It's all it boils down to. It's an unknown animal.
Jackalope.
Which has a reasonable chance of one day becoming realized as a new species.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the definition, I actually say the definition in my movie, which I found somewhere. I don't know where I found it, but I believe the definition is a creature that is believed to exist but has not been scientifically proven.
Correct. Which is every creature until it's proven.
Yeah, which the funny thing is, technically speaking, my creature is not a cryptid, because it's not really believed to exist. It's sort of like this thing that has been killing people that they don't know about. I mean, I guess it's loose into whether or not it's believed to exist. It's, I guess, so here's like a weird philosophical question. Is a cryptid a cryptid only until someone discovers it?
Yes.
So it's like
That's
like a
what
weird...
I believe, at least. I'm not, like I had said, I'm not a certified card carrying cryptozoologist, but until it's discovered, it's considered a cryptid animal.
Like it's a you know, I think therefore I am kind of thing, where
I would consider your beast
Mhm.
in the terms of generalized cryptid, it's a cryptid because
Yeah.
it's not classified as a specific creature, correct?
Mhm. Correct. It is not classified as a specific creature. As a
I
matter of
mean-
fact, there's a moment where they don't know, they don't understand sort of what the classification is.
Mhm.
Like they sort of funnel it into certain categories, but it's so strange that they think that the samples they have are wrong. They think something happened to it, where it's just like, well, this can't be accurate.
Yeah, it was, and like I said, my link expired, but it was like a contaminated type of. They think it's like a contaminated type of sample. Then.
Yeah, like they don't get too deep into it. I don't get too deep into the weeds on the scientific stuff because I am a moron. But yeah, there's a mention basically where they believe that the samples got contaminated, but it's because it's giving them conflicting data. The information is not accurate, or they believe it to be not accurate because it's nothing that they've seen before. Jess, what would you say your favorite scene in the movie was?
Oof. I like the scene where I don't want to give too much away here.
Right, of course.
You cut this.
Yeah.
When he falls into the den
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
and he tries to escape by using a part of the cryptid.
Wait,
Okay.
He did so much when he was in that cave. What was your favorite part when he was stuck down in that cave?
I don't want to give away too much about the
All
cryptid
right,
in the
okay.
movie.
Yeah, that is the to be fair, that is the last act of the movie. Let's not give
I
away
don't want
any
to
of
give it
that.
away.
Yeah, let's not give it away.
Do you think, I mean, it's a good time for this, like a cryptid movie to come out. Like everything's been, I don't know, cryptids are more in the forefront, I think, now with all the shows that are on, like the Bigfoot expeditions, the Extinct or Alive. Like it seems like it's more generalized public now. It's not so like fringe right now.
Now, has there been a major show that has dealt with like I know a lot of them are kind of the hunt or the quest for certain cryptids. Has there been sort of a narrative show kind of centered around like cryptids or monsters? I mean, really X-Files. I mean, I think did it.
No, there's been a lot
20 years ago, but
there's been a lot of shows that are centered around. There's one in particular. It's about extinct creatures that are considered like not cryptids, but that had once existed and don't anymore. And then it's called Extinct or Alive. Forrest Galante goes to different parts and tries to hunt down animals that are thought to exist. And he's actually found animals that have not been seen in over 50 to 60 years. There's Destination Truth, where he goes all over the place and tries to find actual cryptid animals. 875 Bigfoot shows. Which
yeah,
is
well,
terrible.
it's funny.
I mean,
it's funny that just like, you know, a lot of monster movies in general deal with like the known stuff, like werewolves, right? Like werewolves are big. That sort of has its arc, right? Where it's all of a sudden there'll be like 6 werewolf movies and then there'll be none for a while and then there'll be like a few more. Which I just watched, was it the hell was the name of the movie I just watched? It was
Oh,
the
not Wolf.
Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which I enjoy. It's a little more tongue in cheek kind of
Mhm.
Horror comedy, but I enjoyed that one a lot. But you know, there's not a lot of sort of just monster movies, at least not that I can think of, that kind of come out. Usually the monster movies that come out are, you know, they're like sinister. They're like with the Bagul, and
Exactly.
it's all like
The-
demon stuff.
The Babadook and the Bagul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there haven't been a lot of. There's been a lot of cryptid movies. There haven't been a lot of good cryptid movies.
Yeah.
Like there was a whole maybe when I said I looked up a list of cryptid movies earlier, maybe 75% of them were centered around a Bigfoot, because that's the known one that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like the Sasquatch. I wrote down a bunch of them. Legend of Boggy Creek, Sasquatch Mountain, Willow Creek, Abominable Snowman, Assault of the Sasquatch, Hunting Grounds. These are all just Bigfoot movies because those are the ones that people are like, oh, Bigfoot. I know that one.
It was one I saw that was on. It was in C.
Began with a C?
No, it was at sea. It was
Oh,
like
it was
on the
at
water.
sea with a
Yeah.
Bigfoot?
Wasn't a Bigfoot. It was
Oh.
like a weird fish creature. I don't remember what it was.
The name of the movie started with a C, or the animal started with a C?
No,
No,
it just
neither
took
of them
place
was. They
on the
take
sea.
place at sea.
It was on a
Oh,
goddamn
I
boat,
keep
Jess. It was a
hearing sea.
fucking boat.
Was it a coelacanth? Was it a coelacanth?
No, I mean I could tell you what the name of the movie
Let's see.
was.
What, Loch Ness. Let's see.
No.
That's not on the sea, Jess.
How is Loch Ness not on the sea?
It's on
Well,
Loch
it's a lake,
Ness.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that a
You'd be
lake?
surprised.
Loch
if
Ness.
Yes, but there's also Loch Ness at sea.
I'm 16% Scottish, so.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Kraken, Tentacles of the Deep. That one was terrible.
Was that a porn? That was a porn, right?
That was a porn. That was a
Yeah.
Japanese one. The Meg, which people consider cryptid, not cryptid.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it's not cryptid because we know those exist. That's like saying
Exactly.
Jurassic Park is a cryptid.
Exactly.
Oh, the C word?
You found the
It's
C
called
word?
it's called the Rig.
Oh.
It's got William Forsythe in it. Came out about
It's
10 years
about-
ago. It's about like a weird small fish creature that eats people.
Are they stuck on an oil rig or something?
Yes.
Have either one of you seen? And this show was terrible, but I watched it and almost bought the DVD. The Mermaids, The Body Found.
Oh yeah, I remember that because people thought it was a real legit
Yep.
thing when it came out,
And
I
the
was just like,
Megalodons, The Shark Lives.
yeah, that's bullshit, and it pisses me off because I get all excited. I'm like, nice.
Yeah, it's such a like an affront to actually people who are out there trying to. And I hate to use the term prove that a cryptid exists, but prove that a cryptid exists.
Mm.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, definitely check
Check
that
it out.
piece of shit out.
Oh.
It's terrible. It's basically they made a mockumentary, Discovery Channel,
Yeah,
I think it
that-
was, which
yeah,
is ridiculous.
Which made me feel like it was legit because it was on the Discovery
it was
Channel.
on the Discovery Channel. I
The
actually
dra- They did the dragon one too, where they found the dragon in the ice cave up in like.
that's different. I bought that one. I liked that one.
But doesn't Discovery at this point do a lot of reality TV?
Well, this was years ago. This is when they were actually still Discovery.
Oh, okay.
And they had put out a documentary that they found a mermaid, a real
wow.
life found
Yeah.
a mermaid, and presented it like it was an actual real
Huh.
documentary.
It was a big deal.
And at the end, in very small letters, it said, "This is not real." Like it was just like, by the way,
It was just whispered. It was just
it
like,
was like,
some.
"This is not real."
Yeah.
It was so terrible. I think that kind of upset a lot of people that had done a lot of like mermaids are.
It set back cryptozoology 10 years.
It set it back so much. It's bad enough.
Yeah.
I don't believe in mermaids. I'll let you know that right now. I'm not a good
Oh.
cryptozoologist. Where
Mhm.
not like I need it to exist, but it's a seal. It's a manatee. It's a whatever it is. I don't
Right.
think there's a half and half out there.
Mm.
What do you think exists the most, Jay? And don't say Bigfoot. Something other than Bigfoot. Bigfoot's so boring.
Oh God.
Sorry for the Bigfoot people out there, but Bigfoot's so boring.
I mean, it is. I mean, well, I guess I have to follow it up with would you consider like fairies, cryptids? No? Okay.
I don't. It's such an umbrella term.
There's a lot of like Irish
it.
mythological things that I kind of believe in, but
Do
I
you
don't know
believe fairies exist.
Oh yeah,
your answer?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. They may not be cryptids, but I sure think they exist. I think I have some fairy blood in me, to be completely honest.
I
My
need
mother.
to see a DNA sample.
Yeah, I mean, you did a DNA sample. You should know everything that's in you now. So
Yeah,
I would
I
say
guess
out of
so.
Do they
everyone on
check for
this,
fairies though?
everyone on this
Yeah.
podcast, you would be the least person to have fairy blood because we know you. We've identified everything inside you.
Pretty much. You're no longer a cryptid.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
well.
Jess and I, there's still an unknown there. You
can't
never
do
know. Like if we got a test, we could come back with like alligator DNA. Who knows? Like right now, it's like Schrodinger's cat. Like we haven't been tested, so
And I
it
never
could be
will
anything.
now, so I can always say that.
Yeah,
I could be 50% dragon.
but we know you're not.
No, not
because
me, but you could say that.
yeah,
Oh, without
exactly.
a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could be 2% Mothman. You'd never know.
never know.
You'd never know.
So let me ask. I want to ask a cryptid expert question.
I do use a lot of chapstick, so.
So out of all of the cryptids that are out there now that you've studied the landscape.
Let's not go that far as I've studied the landscape.
All right. What do you think there is a species that is really, really close to being discovered? Is there one that you feel like is on the cusp of being discovered?
So a cryptid that hasn't been discovered before, or something that's fallen off that could still exist? Like a thylacine. I believe that Tasmanian tigers are going to be the next one to show back up.
Okay.
I pray and I hope that Tasmanian tigers are the next things to be found.
Was The Hunter that movie was about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it? I don't know the story of the Tasmanian tiger. So what was the deal with that?
It was,
For those that don't know,
I thought it.
me.
Tasmanian tiger was a thylacine. It was a Australian mammal that they put a bounty on it. So in a matter of a couple of years, it was completely wiped out. The last one died in a zoo because it got locked out of its enclosure in 1936.
Oh
Jesus.
It's pretty sad.
That's
to watch
a
the
hell of a way to
footage.
go out.
yeah.
The last one died in a zoo. They had thought that it was killing livestock, chickens. It was like the dingo ate my baby, except the dingo was a
Yeah.
Tasmanian tiger. So they were killed out quickly, amazingly. There's pictures everywhere of people with like 20 of them hanging on their sheds dead.
Yeah. Here, take a look at this.
It's so sad.
But in that, well, sorry. So let's say let's carve that out because those are scientifically proven at least to have
So
exist.
what do I think that?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think the next one to be discovered is? Where like all of a sudden some new information's coming out, we're close, and then all of a sudden there's a picture of someone bagging something, and it's now real.
I think it's that weasel up in Maine.
I think it's the Maine weasel, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Maine weasel.
What was his name?
Woody?
Woody.
Oh yeah. I thought it began with an H. What do I hope? What do I hope that would show up, or what do I think would? I guess it's different. Because for it to show up, it would have to be dead. So what do I want to die to prove itself?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's got to be one of the top ones that people claim to see all the time because there's nothing else that gets talked about as much, I wouldn't imagine.
No, I just think that the main ones that get talked about a lot are because they're popular. So people know that, oh, I can pull in not attention, but I know that everybody knows about this one specifically. That's why Loch Ness, Bigfoot, Mothman, et cetera, get talked about more because it's a more well-known one. Oh, what do I want to be shown?
Because like I think we're pretty close to within the last couple, I think we're pretty close to discovering aliens. I know that this is not cryptid related, but I'm just saying, like, as an example, within the last couple, like, aliens kind of went away for a while.
Yeah.
But then, like, within the last couple of years, it's become very sort of been very popular to talk about aliens.
Yeah. Well, when you pose that question, that was actually the first thing that popped in my head was just like with all like the UFO or what is it called now? UP something. They changed it because now it's not UFOs anymore. Anywho, I listened to NPR today, and they were talking about how like 400 documents got released of all this information, and how they still don't believe that we've been contacted by extraterrestrial beings.
But is it UAP? Is it UAP?
UAP, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I feel like in the last couple of years, it's been normalized a bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it used to be UFOs were like, oh, crazy tin hats. Now the government is releasing information about stuff they found where they're just like, we don't know what this is. It could be a UAP, it could not be, but we're just letting you know we don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I just feel like there's been more and more of that, and more sort of higher level people have been coming out and talking about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like that, like dominoes are falling, and then at some point within the next maybe 10 years, I feel like
it's just going to
we're just going to have like some sort of, at least as concrete as you can get, proof without actually having an alien and like stringing them up in Times Square. But yeah, I feel like, and I think that'll be like earth shattering news. And so I'm just thinking, like, from that perspective, where is there a cryptid that more and more information has started to come out about it, where it's like, oh, I think this is someone's gonna find this thing.
I think a Yeti is going to be our next one. I don't think it's going to be a Bigfoot. I think it's going to be a Yeti. Look how big Siberia. I mean, that whole area, it's desolate. It's freezing. There's all the mountainous areas. Why couldn't there be something there? And they're
hashtag why not?
Hashtag why not? If you can believe in a Mongolian death worm, you can believe in a Yeti. You know, you're going to have to answer a lot of cryptic questions after this movie comes out, though. They're going to want to know where this creature is from, what type of.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got some splaining to do.
You do have some splaining to do. You might have to do a background feature on just the creature.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with a movie, I can sort of play it a little more ambiguous, and I can cheap it and just say like, well, it's whatever you believe it to be.
No, crypto people, like, I can tell you right now, after I saw the picture of the creature in your movie without like saying what it is, I was like, oh, that's that. That's like a subset of that, or that might be that, or could that be that? Like, you can't just be like, oh, it's just this. People that like this type of stuff are going to want to dig deeper into it.
Well, that's also partly the reason why I wanted to do a new creature as opposed to something that already exists. Because if you do something that already exists, then of course you are then bound by everything that is out there for it. So I am, if I chose a Jersey, I mean, there's a bunch of movies out there about the Jersey Devil, but if I chose like the Jersey Devil or the Chupacabra or whatever.
I like how the accent comes in.
That was nice.
Like that. Nice. I feel like I've been very consistent with that every time I've said it.
Yeah. On that note, there's anything else you'd like to let us know when the movie comes out?
Sure.
When it's planning on it?
Yeah. So I'm feeling it. I'm now in darkness. My biggest fear has come true, in that
it's not that dark.
All the light has seeped out of the shot. It's going to look so different from the beginning of this to the end. It's going to
look like Relic in the movies as opposed to Relic on VHS. Yeah.
Like you'll be able to track from the beginning of the YouTube thing to the end of like, whew, this thing got dark. So we just signed our distribution deal, and so we're in the process of giving out deliverables to them, but we don't have an official release date yet, but it should be within the next 3 to 6 months. So right now it just depends on they're collecting all the data. I have a bunch of meetings with them this week and next week, and then I got to send them copies of the movie and all this other stuff. And so unfortunately, I don't have a release date right now, but depending on when this podcast comes out, you can post. I'm hoping I'll have a release date by then. And so
this might come out before that.
So he is saying August 25th. It will be out. That's what he said.
So what you're saying is the release date is also a cryptid.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. The release date is also a cryptid. Thank you.
Excellent.
Where can people check out your stuff? Facebook, Instagram? Are you out there? Where do we find you?
I am not out there in any way, shape, or form.
You are not. It's very
well. You got 221 Films on Facebook.
All right. So I have a Cryptid Facebook page. So Cryptid Movie is on Facebook.
Okay.
I have 221 Films on Facebook. I've got a 221 Films YouTube channel, which has some of my past short films on it. You can see my last feature, The Killing of Jacob Marr, on Tubi TV or Screambox. And then that's kind of everything. So I'm not really on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. I have like a couple accounts here and there, but I don't really post anything to that.
Well, you guys can check them out in the comments below because they're all down there.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
No, thank you for coming on and talking about your movie and cryptids. I mean,
if you guys are loving cryptids as much as we're making,
no. Don't let him hijack this into his own channel.
He's already hijacked. We're gonna let him have it. This is a subsidiary of the vodcast. It is not. Next week, not next week, but next show, I think I'm going to have somebody on here who has hunted Bigfoot.
Oh,
very nice.
So stay tuned for that.